We're sticking with the quarterback talk. We saw the transfer rankings. We've already seen a lot of movement when it comes to the quarterback position and transfers. Who's a guy that we didn't show on that list that you're keeping your eye on?
Graham Mertz, right? Reportedly, the former Wisconsin quarterback, started 32 games over a long time. It sounds like he's headed to Florida, which is interesting. Michael Pratt, Tulane's starting quarterback. There was a lot of buzz, a lot of talk in my circles, scouting circles, both the recruiting circles, that Michael Pratt was going to enter the transfer portal. He announces last night he's coming back to Tulane for the 2023 season. Going to play for Fritz there. Obviously, they've had a great year. So what we talk about chain reactions. Next thing we know, Graham Mertz, he's announced, or it sounds like he's headed to Florida. Florida needs a quarterback. They're losing Anthony Richardson, right? That room is very small, so Graham Mertz is going to be the guy. I think it's an interesting fit. I mean, Mertz, 38 touchdowns to 26 interceptions there in Camp Randall. I mean, it's not been the best of runs, but Florida needs an arm, and more importantly, they need an arm that can show up in the spring. Mertz, he visited last weekend. We saw that through his Instagram. I think someone found his IG story, so he's going to show up. But I want to know if Florida's going to go after another portal quarterback arm, because I'm not sure he's quarterback one for them. I think he's more maybe QB2.
Yeah, as evident by their performance in the bowl game, quarterback definitely a necessity there. But what about the five-star quarterback they have entering this year, and Jaden Rashada? What can you tell them about him?
Yeah, Graham Mertz, obviously a great placeholder for next season, but then after that, Jaden Rashada arrives on campus. Then you think about 2024 with DJ Lagway, the five-star composite quarterback, who's also committed to the Gators. So you have to like what Billy Napier is building in that quarterback room. In terms of Rashada specifically, I find it hard to find another quarterback in this 2023 class that is as self-motivated as he is. Emily, I went to see them, Pittsburgh High School, down in San Diego, early September. This is a player who, out of halftime, came out on the field, was walking and pacing up the sideline and speaking to himself. And he was saying, "You're the top quarterback in the country, number 5. You're the top 5. You're the top quarterback in the country." So he is a player who believes in himself. Whenever you see him at a camp or at a showcase, he's going and asking questions and really taking things serious. So I think you have to really like what Florida has built in that quarterback room in the future, and Graham Mertz obviously adds to that.
And you looked extensively at Jaden Rashada. We mentioned on the show, and we will continue, about the fun dynamic happening in the Sunshine State. He was a flip from Miami earlier on in the cycle. What does that quarterback room look like in terms of competition between now Mertz coming in and Jaden Rashada? Nobody's guaranteed the starting job there.
It's funny because a few months ago I wrote, or after they flipped Rashada, I loved what Billy Napier had done. He had turned around that quarterback room. I mean, you had Marcus Stokes was committed. You had Jaden Rashada who was committed. They also felt good about Jalen Kitna. Well, 2 of those guys are no longer there. So it is going to set up interesting in terms of competition. I want to know if they try to add one more portal arm. I think we saw the Jack Miller experiment, and Blair, I saw him play in high school. I was not surprised it didn't go too well there in Las Vegas. I don't think they can roll into the season thinking Jack Miller versus Graham Mertz. Ideally, maybe Jaden Rashada can come in and push that along, but let's also not forget, Florida wants to run the football. Like, that's what Billy Napier wants to do with that offensive line. So really, I think they need a game manager, a guy that's going to limit mistakes. I don't know if Jaden Rashada, true freshman quarterbacks, maybe it is Graham Mertz.
I mean, if they do want to run the football, it isn't like they would be giving Jaden Rashada a ton of responsibility, right? And I think he's a very cerebral quarterback, a player that really, I think, understands and can play to his capabilities. You go out to Pittsburgh High School and you see his offensive line, and he's not surrounded by 5-stars. He's not a player who's been protected, so he's kind of been running for his life back there. And I don't want to throw Pittsburgh High School's offensive line under the bus, but this was a player who made it to a state championship game, but I think was sacked nearly double-digit times. So this is a player who's going to get to Gainesville, that raised up level of competition, but also a raised level of talent around him is going to make him better. So I would not count him out in the competition at Florida right away, because he's that special. He's a 5-star for a reason.
Excited to see what happens in the quarterback room in Florida as Billy Napier works to turn that program around.